Hey everybody, Lou Santiago, and tonight we have a fantastic show. We've got Tony and Carmen Matthews from SUPERFLY Auto. And I don't just mean the movie from the 70s. What are you talking about, sucker? That movie. And for you guys who don't know, but I'm sure John knows because he's old like me, we're going to talk to these guys, Tony and Carmen. They're from jolly old England, so they're going to talk a little funny. So we're going to do that. But not only that, we've got some other stuff coming in. Now, I'm going to let you guys know tonight is the first night that we can take phone calls. Now, this is a big thing for us. Now, we can't stack them up. Like, we can't have 5 or 6 of them in waiting. But we can take phone calls. So get your crayon out because I'm going to give you the number. And this number is always going to remain the same. It's 215-469-1892. I'm going to go through it again. 215-469-1892. Call it. One of the guys will answer. And if you're not some kind of crackpot, you can ask us your question. And you can even ask your question to the guests because we're going to do this as soon as we bring in Tony and Carmen. So I'm going to talk to John, and then we're going to bring in our guests. John, where you at?
Right here. What do you mean I'm old? What are you talking about, man? That was pretty funny, though, because I remember that movie. It was cheesy. That SUPERFLY movie was cheesy. And I was thinking of asking them how they adopted that name.
We're going to ask them.
Because soon after that movie, that's like 72 or 74.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And then you had SUPERFLY's Snuka, the wrestler that used to jump off the top rope.
Yep.
And I'm wondering how because that had to be what, 80s or 90s?
Oh yeah, it had
somewhere around there.
I remember that was when it was the WWF, not the WWE, and if I'm not mistaken, it was on the USA Network, and they had that guy who wore like the cheesy Superman costume, and he was overweight, and he smoked a cigar. And he would intro the shows. It was awesome.
It was cheesy on purpose.
I know, it was awesome.
But I'm wondering how they adopted the name, but we'll get into that. This
we need
name. I mean, it does stick. I mean, it's something you won't forget. And I was talking about it doesn't hurt anything. Yeah, but it's all cool. It's all good.
Albert said his crayon's broken. Albert, get it together, man. You must be a Marine. You must be a Marine.
The bottom. At bottom of the page. They had it running across the bottom a second.
Oh, they got it running across. Oh, it's going to run across the bottom. I didn't know that. Cool. There you go. So we're good.
But I tell you, last week, I think I mentioned you. I went to Brian Ryder introduced me to Eddie Munster. I got an autograph here.
Yeah.
And Eddie has agreed to, it's Butch Patrick actually, has agreed to come on the show.
Awesome.
So we got to nail down those dates. I mean, we were going back and forth earlier today. We're out until September something now. Are we not? As far as booked up guests?
We're out until September 1st.
Yeah. I reached out to Shag from Iron Resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
What we talked about, you and I earlier, which I'll run through again a little bit, is maybe doing a double episode to have back-to-back, 7 to 8 and 8 to 9 or something.
Yeah.
Because some of these are time sensitive. Others aren't. And I'm wondering, too, that we kick some people down the road 45 days or so and bring them back. Because, like with Shag, next week,
they premiere.
Iron Resurrection is their premiere. They got 10 shows coming up.
Yeah.
So we talk about that. I didn't nail down a date. Eddie Munster, I didn't nail down a date. I got Paul Tuttle Jr. wants to come on. Didn't nail down a date. And we're stacking people up. We're going to look at Christmas soon. That's, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I got I locked down. Let me tell you who I locked down, just so you know. I got to look at the calendar because I don't, I didn't write anything down. I just put it in the calendar. We got Rollins next week, Dennis McCarthy, Troy Ladd, and then what happened in July? I know we got people in July, but August is Tommy from the Dukes of Hazzard, the guy who built all the cars.
Yeah,
the 11th of August is Larry Dixon. The 18th of August is Tom Bailey. For you guys who don't know, Tom Bailey has that really nasty 69 Camaro. There was a white one caught on fire. Now it's like an orange, like a burnt orange metallic. stupid fastest street car in the country. I think the world, actually. He's actually building a new car. And then we have Jared Pink, who's a YouTube guy. And then after Jared Pink is Freddie and Tavares. So we got August already covered.
Yeah.
And Tavares and Freddie are actually technically September 1st. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be here before you know it. But yeah, I just also have, which I didn't nail down, is Austin Craig from Shelby American. He's got He's got Carol Shelby stories.
Yep.
We also got to bring back Linda Vaughn, which I've been going back and forth with her. She says she's going to try to be at Barrett Jackson next week in Vegas.
Oh, really?
So hopefully we can meet up and try to nail something down. But she's definitely one that we'd have to move people for, because I don't want to go too far out with her.
Yeah, we can't.
She's got to be back on. We got to represent her right, get her on. There's a studio near her. Instead of her doing it from home, put her in the studio and shoot it right. I mean, she deserves that, whatever it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So outside of that, the phone calls, sometime, what's it, 2 weeks? Ken and Ryan will know. I think it's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I got to take a trip for Horse TV out to Ohio. But you and I, as a reminder, because you and I talk so much, but we seem like we're passing, we're running fast the last couple of days we've been talking. So we haven't nailed anything down, but I'm waiting to hear back about Bradshaw shooting in Texas, and you're part of that.
Yeah.
So if that comes through and they go, here's the dates, get ready to hit the ground running, because we got a lot to do through Texas. We might as well go see Shorty and do a couple other things that we talked about. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
and we can, we can do that. And not, and Kevin right there on the bottom is saying, we got the countdown to SEMA. I got to start locking down some SEMA people.
Yeah.
So I have a reason to go, so I can put a couple dead presidents in my pocket.
Well, that'd be part, the Barrett Jackson's at the convention center in Vegas, and they're talking Barrett Jackson is the first event at the new convention center.
Yeah.
Where they build on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of confusion of where things go. It's going to be interesting to see if they pull that off and do it right. But SEMA should be pretty cool with that whole nother leg of the convention center. I don't think they need it, but what wasn't it you that said if they don't rent out part of it, they can actually stick somebody in that area if the lease doesn't cover.
Yeah, that's what someone was telling me that. So they got it. If they don't use it, they lose it, basically. That was the way I understood it. So, if they don't rent the floor, that gives whoever's running it the ability to put someone in that floor for that time. Because and the bottom line is they got to pay the building off. It's got to generate income.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those things. It's just the way it is. But hey, that's not a bad thing necessarily.
You know what else, Lou? And I think, again, we're running fast, but the guy this guy, John, that was with Eddie Munster, I tell you about John that owns a lot of the movie cars. Some of them are replicas. Some of them are the real deal.
Is that the guy in Jersey?
The Jersey guy, the Dragula thing, he just did, I don't know if you could see some of the stuff that he has. He just did a Pickers episode. Because I'm looking at him, I'm like, dude, I know you from somewhere. He says, I was just on Pickers earlier this year. They keep running it. They ran it the other day. But he's got the grease car, the Monkey Mobile. He's got the 32 from American Graffiti.
Wow.
He's got the Back to the Future car. He invited us over to go check it out. He's got every one of the Batmobiles. He's got the Batboat. He's got everything.
That's a whole season of Icon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're going to run that promo. He's got all these cars, which is pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
The 66 up there at the top left is a replica. It's not the real deal, but it's sharp. But I was like, man, I put that on my bucket list. I'm going to get one of those and run it around my neighborhood like a jackass, I think. Because I don't think there's anybody close to our age that doesn't know what that is.
Driving by Biden's house.
Yeah.
Secret Service will be chasing you all around the neighborhood. You can hit them with the oil slick.
We're going to have to go live with that. We're going to have to stream that live and see what happens. Like Jackass. I'll be like Jackasses. They wrestle me to the ground. and haul me off. But I'm Batman. You don't understand. I'm Batman. Who knows?
Crazy.
It'll drag me away. You'll never see me again.
He'd be in a rubber room wearing a dinner jacket with the sleeves behind the back.
I'm telling you.
But it would be awesome. It would be so awesome.
I'd have stories. Yo, I'd have Biden stories and Batman stories. Who has
exactly.
that? I'd have
That's
that.
why you got to combine them. They got to work.
Yeah, it would be pretty funny. But
awesome.
yeah, I'm going out to Barrett Jackson. If I haven't told you already, it's next Thursday. We're doing Rawlings Wednesday.
I'm not going to be able to make it.
I know.
I can't
It's your
make
anniversary.
It. I want to, but I can't.
Yeah,
it's my anniversary.
Got to do what you got to do, man.
My wife will be upset with me if I don't. I've missed a lot of them.
Your stuff will be on the lawn. It'll be on the lawn when you get home. You don't want that. I'll report back in and tell you what you missed. It's only 3 days. It isn't like it's a big deal, but it's still, I'll let you know what's happening.
Yeah. And if you get the deal worked out, we might be able. It might be a gig, a real good gig. So we just got to see.
Yeah, Carolyn Jackson called me last week before, talked it through about the part that they're missing. They brought up your buddy Bill Goldberg.
Yep.
Because Bill's got his West Coast chopper running through, and the guys at Count Customs.
Yep.
Danny Coker.
Yeah,
he just repainted it for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he freshened it up, so it actually looks decent going across the block. The only thing is, I think it's a rigid.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a soft tail.
Yeah, I think that I think Jesse James called that the Diablo frame.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that's got to be hard on your back. I mean, that's probably cool for 100 miles, but if you're going far,
yeah.
And most wrestlers got bad backs.
I rode a rigid for a while. I had to get off it. It was like I just can't do it. I mean, I rode it like around the block, and it was like, oh no, parking it. It was a front. Yeah. It was actually my cousin's husband. Her Tina's sister. So Tina's. It'd be, I don't know. It was a family member. He had a rigid, and I rode around the block. I brought it back. I said, dude, I got to get it. I can't ride this thing. It was just that bad. It was harsh. And I think it's cool because that's what I learned how to ride on. I learned how to ride on a jockey shift rigid. So chopper, baby. It's a chopper.
Yeah, that's old school. That's old school.
It is, man. That's what I learned.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what that bike goes for. But my thing with Carolyn Jackson was that story of those questions that we have. How long has he had it? Did he get it built? Did Jesse build it for him? Is it secondhand? Where did he run it? Did it move with him from San Diego? That whole story. And she said that they're going to interview him on the live stream. And that's where Courtney's going to do the interview with Bill.
Right.
But then she said, I don't know that the team knows all that about that bike. So she wants to, see if I can add value to that interview.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if I get it, but whatever,
And if we get that whole thing going in Texas, we gotta go down there and see Bill and talk about Snot Rocket, the donkey. I mean,
yeah.
Who has a donkey named Snot Rocket? Bill. We got to talk about that. I mean, I'll get out in the field and blow snot rockets with them.
I got the cowboy hats. We go down there. We're going to film. We do that. We're filming for Horse TV. We're going to kill two birds with one stone.
I'm going to wear my derby. Because the derbies were in the West, so I'm going to wear my brown derby. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to wear a cowboy hat because there's documented proof. The history guy on YouTube actually did the history of the derby. Comes from England, came to the U.S. Yeah. And then of course, America. We had to name it. They called it a bowler overseas, and then when it came to the U.S., they called it a derby. So go figure. It's just like it's just like our country to change everything around and make it.
Right. Maybe Carmen and Tony could explain. Maybe they know about that.
Maybe you never know. They're from over there. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. So John, let's bring them in. We're gonna go to what?
Run a commercial for Iconic.
Yeah, we're gonna go to a commercial. But before we go to the commercial, remember. 215-469-1892. If you guys want to call in, that's the number. It's going to be running across the bottom. You'll see it. So call in if you got a question. Don't be don't be that guy that calls up and wants to be a wanker. All right, don't do it.
We already have enough of those. Right here.
We have the power. Me and John can already be jackasses as it is. We don't need any help. All right. So let's go to a commercial, and then we're bringing.
What happened to your favorite Hollywood stars? Some are screen legends. Some made history.
What do you say? Is it the new Bluesmobile or what?
One thing's for sure, they all have more to tell. Road trip with me, Lou Santiago, as I hunt down these iconic cars.
The car's actually stolen. My kids said, Dad, you're not going to believe what's over here.
And take you behind the scenes to get the story behind the story.
I'm going to have the car do the same thing. Pow, bang, wow.
From the designers who built them, the stars that drove them, and the lucky motherfuckers who stumbled across them. Where was his car when you found it? Pull in there, pull in there. Dude, tell me you have your hands on it. You're not gonna believe some of this stuff.
There
they are. Tony and Carmen. What's happening, guys?
Hey.
That's good to be on, guys. Thank you for inviting us. Amazing. I love the introduction. Fantastic what you guys doing.
It's not amazing. It's TV. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's not amazing. Come on. Let's be realistic here.
I think it's important to point out that it's like 1:30 in the morning where they're at, and it's actually Thursday. It's Thursday. They're ahead of us.
Yeah.
So they stayed up late to talk nonsense with us, which is pretty cool.
That is
That's
pretty
cool. I mean, apologies if you're in and half asleep, but it's all good. We'll talk and blabble on. What do you?
Do you have any PIMs? That's the question I need to answer. I need an answer to.
Any what? Sorry.
Pims.
Do you have any
Pims and
PIMs?
lemonade.
No, unfortunately not, gentlemen.
What the hell? What the hell?
I know. It's grateful.
Pims and vodka.
We'd probably be up to 24 hours if we had this stuff right now.
Yeah.
So maybe not.
So, all right. The question that's on mine and John's mind, and you guys can answer this. How did you come to the name Superfly? Because you know that's a 70s blaxploitation movie. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nothing to do with that. Absolutely, 100% not. The movie, obviously, we very well know. But I grew up in the 90s, so I grew up with Sky TV and obviously MTV. And I remember watching all these cool music videos like the Beastie Boys and all these rap stars and Yo MTV Raps. And I remember hearing this word going Superfly, and I was like, that sounds so cool. So I obviously went on Yahoo back then and started searching what it meant. And in the Urban Dictionary, it says anything that's like ultra cool. And I was like, you know what? I do love the American culture. So why not call our obviously automotive brand Superfly Autos, because it means anything cool. So it doesn't matter what kind of car we actually feature, if it's a rat rod, if it's a low ride or a hot rod, as long as it's cool, it's going to be Superfly. And so that's how the name came to be.
See, I didn't know that was the actual meaning of it.
I did, because things were fly. Remember, Lou, things were fly.
I remember everything was fly. I remember that, but no one said that's Superfly.
But in the intro of the movie, they go, "He's not just fly, he's Superfly."
So they're talking about
cool.
Was that Richard Roundtree?
No, that was Shaft. It was around the same time, but that was the original Shaft, Richard Roundtree.
Okay, Richard Roundtree was Shaft.
Yeah, he was another cool dude. Yeah.
So that's cool. I didn't know that was the actual definition from Urban Dictionary. But then again, I don't read Urban Dictionary. I would have never thought to look there. That's funny.
That's a name you won't forget. It's a great name. Lou and I couldn't figure out, how to make that jump, So it was just, we went back and forth going, well, how would that make it over there? And how's it translated? Like he was just saying what the hats are translated differently. That's pretty cool.
Well, we came from the word Global Automotive Connection.
That was the original.
That was the original name. That's and we just said, you know what, it's way too long.
It's catchy.
It doesn't it means for everybody something else as well, mainly when you abbreviate to GAC. The European countries all of a sudden made that Jack, and that obviously is GAC, whatever it does not ring good. So for us as well, became from the original of more modified cars, like the more hatchbacks kind of things. And we personally wanted to include way more than that. We just wanted to go beyond that because we had a love for cars that were like really aging back, like way
Maybe
before we came.
classics.
Yeah, before we came.
Right.
And we wanted to get our heels in that as well. It's like, well, how do we convey that? How do we bring that across? Okay, it has to be something else. And then Tony came up with Superfly. So
it's got to be cool. I mean, the people who build
fits.
the cars, the coolest people we've ever met. I mean, they're so
Sure.
out there, anti-status quo. They
it.
want to show what they do, and we're like, you guys just fly as F without being obviously rude on the live stream. So like, no, this has to be Superfly. This is what you guys are, and girls as well, because girls who modify just as much. And we're like, no, that's the epitome of like what they're about.
Let's back up a little bit because we got a gist and we follow, but there's a lot of people over here that may not know who you are. Give an overview of what you guys do. I know you hit a little bit on how you started things off, but tell us what you've seen, what the focus is to keep it alive, the mission statement, the whole thing.
Sure. So we've been into cars since at least the year 2000. So we've been documenting the custom car culture worldwide since early 2000. We started out as photographers for 7 years, photographed for car magazines around the world while working in a corporate 9-to-5 job. And then it was about 6 years ago that we decided to go all out and create a brand called SUPERFLY Autos, which is literally documenting every car culture in the world, from the US, from the UK, where we are, Europe, Japan, Asia, and just bring together the most eclectic custom vehicles you'll ever see. So as what you're on the screen right now, we'll do rat rods, lowriders, hot rods, slam trucks, lifted trucks, anything that's so cool, with the essence of being able to show everyone else other kind of styles of customization. So hopefully innovate each other's cultures to innovate that side, and just bring some creativity across. The people go, do you know what? I've never seen modification like this done to this car, but maybe I can adapt it to mine. And we've seen this happen for years. So we just thought, let's be brave and mix the most unusual you can find and the most coolest. And since that, we've built a brand. We've got about 1.5 million followers worldwide, and they now come to us for inspiration for their builds.
Yeah.
And because our page shows things that no one really sees that much. For example, we would show guys from Indonesia who customize Yamaha scooters, but they almost turn them out into tanks.
I saw that video. That's insane.
And things like this, you may not think they're in your country, but everyone who watches this, the reactions, it just goes viral. People are like, do you know what? They may not have a lot of money, but look what they're doing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And people saying, maybe I could do that with our thing. And people saying, hey, Johnny, you may have to do this to your scooter and things like this. Like, okay, this should be interesting to see something like this in the West instead of the East. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what we do.
The point there is as well that we want to allow people to dig into their creativity beyond their own borders, simply for the fact that, you know, every country has a different need, every country has different restrictions, what they can and can't do, not only restrictions from the money aspect, but also restrictions by the country, by the government, what they are allowed to do. And so by design, all the cars and vehicles in general look different. So yes, what may look really ridiculous to us is what they can or cannot do.
Exactly.
But it's really scraping the legal borders. So it's really funny to watch what other people take away from that. And going into the inspiration as well, that has now taken into the like 1/64 scale as well. So it's fun to watch what they're doing with the same vehicle that are on the road
to Hot Wheels.
That's it.
Right.
That takes us to the tagline. This is how we roll.
That's it.
I don't know if John saw it, but this is the one from Indonesia.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
I did not see that.
You didn't see? Look at these things. It's crazy.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Yes. Look at that thing. Look at that.
It looks like Santa's sleigh.
So this is why as well the tagline is important to us. This is how we roll. It's precisely what they're doing. It's like, we don't care how we roll, but this is what we're going to roll in. And if you like it, that's cool. If you don't, that's okay. But that's how we roll.
Yeah.
So it's so important to Superfly.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense now. That makes perfect sense. And then Like when I saw that a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh my God, what is, because I follow you guys on Instagram, and I've never seen that or heard of that. And I had to do a little bit of research, and then I read the caption saying that they were in Indonesia. I was like, man, that's crazy. It's awesome though. It's great.
The car culture worldwide is incredible, and we've seen it evolve just as much as I'm sure you guys have the last 20 years, and it's just getting stronger and stronger. No matter what's going on with obviously the electric vehicle kind of revolution going down, people still want to modify, and they want to take it to the ultimate any levels possible. Plus, they want to dive into various vehicles they've never touched before, because we've got people now in building cars you've never even heard of, or they were kind of classed as your grandfather's vehicle back in the day, and now these youngsters are taking them and doing the most amazing things to them. Looks like almost like the quality of what you guys build at hot rods in the US, super clean body, clean engine bay, and it just blows us away. Or you get these guys who just go completely out there and build out a scaffolding these incredible schemes. So it's
outside of the restrictions that you talk about, the laws and things, as far as fads, can you possibly explain what's cool in some countries and not others, or what's hot property in some countries that isn't in others? Something maybe somebody may step over in one country, but somebody else would ship it out and want it in another country. Is there anything like that?
Sorry, I mean it's interesting you say that, because I think 10 years ago, it wasn't that easily accessible in terms of what everyone was doing. But right now, it feels that almost every culture, apart from the likes of the Indonesians, everyone's almost identical in what they're doing. There's subtle differences in customizations and obviously vehicles. So, for example, in the UK, we may not necessarily be able to get all the American vehicles. So we tend to doing customization similar to what you guys are doing, but to more European-based vehicles. So not necessarily American muscle or classic, but the Fords, the Vauxhalls, the BMWs, and things like that. But I'm starting to see that we're very similar worldwide now, thanks to the internet. I think there's more accessibility to be able to do almost similar modifications.
Yeah.
And to get them, I think, to ship and over the products now, it's easier than it is before. But I feel that you still have the big differences. I feel at the moment is some of the extreme builds, so like rat rods probably over in your country, larger engine swaps seem to be a big thing. So you've got like a huge V8 possibly in something that's smaller than Ford Fiesta. We see a lot of that thing going on, and just trying to keep the cars as clean as possible. This is one of the things we've been seeing lately in Europe. I mean, it has been probably for the last 6-7 years. Cleaner body,
I think
wheels.
What you are describing more or less is what we thought a fad in the beginning, the Euro look. But it started actually out here in Europe as a need, because like Belgium, there's no way you can get a vehicle on the road that is lower than 10 centimeters off the ground.
Really?
Police will stop you. You will never see that vehicle again. And many modifications, and that's actually what the Euro look makes it so different. And there is a huge difference in between when we see Euro look presented to us in America and Euro look over in Europe, mainly in Belgium. All modifications, before you go and have it MOT approved for as road legal approved, you have to be able to remove all modifications.
Yeah. So take everything off the day before, go back as stock OEM, and then put everything back on the MOT just to be able to roll.
That's it.
They do it anyway. All those guys and girls who customize, we roll anyway. It doesn't matter what the police say. We obviously try and be as safe as possible with the vehicle naturally. Most of them are actually in better condition than most cars on the road anyway.
100%, yeah.
But, if they get caught, well, unfortunately they do, but they try not to. And, that's how it works, obviously, in Belgium. In the UK, we're not too bad in England.
No, but, England is very non-restrictive. Yeah. Sorry, non-restrictive in that way.
For as long as certain modifications don't, have issues like with the fumes coming out of the exhaust, things like that, I think we're pretty okay. But yeah,
do you have an annual inspection and emissions there, or what happens there?
That's it.
So that's called the MOT. That's what it's called.
Is it every year like it is here?
Exactly. Yeah. The Belgian TUV, I'm not sure probably what it's called, but yeah, we have one every year, and that's when some countries are not allowing them, so they take everything off, or they just.
Well, there's also the other option. You have to pay a certain amount, a different amount for every single thing you have done fully.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, each country is different. That's obviously UK and Belgium. I think most European countries are quite strict, but people still roll.
Germany,
France is strict.
Yeah,
well.
Germany wants to get rid of everything. France, mainly in Paris, you are no longer allowed with a vehicle. Is it pre-60s?
Something like that, I think it was.
Into town.
But then Paris is insane anyway. You guys talk about Destruction Derby, I think, at the beginning of the show. And Paris,
that was Destruction Derby.
If you've ever driven in Paris, it's insane. When you have the Champs-Élysées, which is like those huge monuments, they've got these huge roundabouts, and there are eight lanes with no sort of white line.
There's no white line.
And it's literally you just have to close your eyes and just drive through and hope you get to the other side. This is how crazy that city is. And we've done it every time. You're like, you don't take a nice car. You don't take a commodified car. It's just insane.
So, in some of the places you're talking about here, you can't do a frame-up custom build. You can't actually build a car from nothing.
You can, but obviously, every country may not have the legalities for it. But we are car people, and we will do it anyway. We don't care. But we will do as safety as possible. I think 99% of us do safety-wise. And you're brave to drive, or if it's not illegal, if it's illegal, it's on the road. They'll just take it to events, for example.
If you can do it, but 99% of a chance that you won't get it on the road. The way those guys get around it, these will be trailer queens, but they are happy with that. They will drive them then just on the showgrounds, and it's just what it is.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
That's it.
We don't care what they say. We'll do it anyway.
I've done that too.
What I want to know is there a big hot rod culture in Russia?
Do you know what? Russia, what they have? They do have.
It's harder to find. It's harder to find. That's what I would say.
Yeah, they are there, but what they are doing is, for example, one of their classic cars they have is called the Lada, which is spelled Lada.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I remember when growing up in the 80s, this is kind of your grandfather car. It was like a tank.
You wouldn't want to be seen with it dead or alive.
But the younger generation, like the early 20s to the 30s, these guys are grabbing them and doing exactly what you guys do to hot rods. Super clean bodywork, maybe a full engine swap, nice wheels, nice stance on the floor. And you look at it now and you're like, that's incredible.
They look like an old Fiat.
It's cool,
They look kind of like an old Fiat. They're real square like the old Fiats. I remember them. Yeah.
And this whole trend that we've had this in Europe for the last 10 years, where youngsters, instead of buying new cars, they're going, well, I can get an old classic for $2,000, and then I spend another $15,000. I got something unique on the road, which drives well, brand new engine if I want one, and that's what the trend has been. And you would never, in a million years, go, I would never have that car. And now you're like, actually, do you know what? And people are now going, what else can we find? It's just the weird, ugliest car you can have on the road, but we'll make it cool. And then suddenly you've got these amazing rides on the road. You're like, this is fun now. Yeah, it's really fun. It's like a barn find. They're finding these barn finds. They find them on eBay for like $2,000, Auto Trade or whatever, and 6 months later they got to an incredible vehicle, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You know what we need to do, John? I mean, we need to get a car together. We need to ship it over there and drive across Europe.
Hell yeah!
Open headers.
We'll push our luck. We'll be the dumb Americans. Why not?
Listen, 5 seconds ago, you had me in the Batmobile at Biden's house. Now you got me arrested in Europe. What are you doing, love? What are you doing? Who am I hanging out with?
I'm trying to broaden your horizons. That's all I'm trying to do, man.
My question is, in the last 6 months or so, have you seen gasoline prices jump up over there as well as they've been jumping up here? And what are you paying for? I guess you're buying it by the liter over there, are you not?
Yeah. I think I'm trying to recall last time we saw. I think it's like £1.35. So I guess, oh my gosh, in dollars, is it $2.50? I think the equivalent is 1 liter. Obviously, you guys are different, so it's a lot more expensive than you guys. But soon enough, I think you guys might be close to what we are. Seeing what you're
We're looking at $3.20 a gallon typically. I got it at Costco today for $2.99 a gallon.
Yeah.
So right
but
now
it's up.
$250 I think equivalent for a liter.
Has it run up or is it steady since our cool President Biden has jumped into office? Is it same?
It has gone up. I mean,
too much,
we not by too much, but it's noticeable. And I know my cousins out in Germany only mentioned it as well. So yeah, That's just it.
What about the cost? And maybe you know this or not. Let's say that you found something here, or somebody found a car here, and shipping it over to you guys. What's that cost? What's the tax? And what's that entail? Has anybody done that, or you followed any of that? And the reason I ask is I sold a guy. I built a custom 51 Mercury years ago and sold it to a guy in Melbourne, Australia. And it took him forever to get it there. Had to drain the AC. There was a bunch of fire extinguisher in the car. But in the end, he paid me $85,000 US for it back in 2007 or so, which was pretty good money for this car. But he said by the time he got it back to Australia, the number doubled between the tax and getting it into the country and shipping it on a boat from California. He said he spent another 80-some thousand getting it there. And to him, it wasn't a big deal. But I'm just wondering, what's that take over there? What's the process? Are you familiar with that or no? I mean, I know you follow the culture.
We haven't done it ourselves, but
we do have people
we have loads of people with garages who do it like all the time, really.
A lot of import businesses do it. And
yeah.
I think, like you said, that they know the risks, they know the cost implications of how much more it would be. And I think the ones who are doing it know that, and they're happy, like you said, with your friend who, that's okay, I'm happy to pay that.
Yeah.
But I know some cars can be costly.
I know it depends on the car. It depends on the size of the car as well. There's literally,
never done an import ourselves.
We would have to have a whole list of okay, where does that car fall into? It can take up to a month that it comes through. Well, right now that might be different, but usually that was what we were looking at, about a month to thereabouts.
I do remember years ago, probably talking 10 years back, when like the Nissan GTRs were quite sought after in the UK. You could pick one up, an R34 for like $25,000 equivalent, whereas in the UK you'd be paying at least $60,000. So some were importing it from Japan, and they would still sell it, saving themselves $20,000 to $15,000. So for them, it was worth that. So there is also car type. What's my saving if I do it, and I get a genuine one from Japan and bring it over, and then take off the restrictor and things. And whatnot. So it all depends, like Carmen says.
It's depending as well on the country. It's literally, even though this would be classed as Europe, every country here is doing their own thing. So you wouldn't be able. It's like try to ship something to Singapore or Hong Kong. You'd even have to have a license purely on getting a car. That license in itself costs you just as much as a car from a car dealership. Now, if you want to then import, that is like stupid high price. So it really depends on what you want to do there.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I knew it would be different, but not that different. Because you hear all these stories of guys selling cars to people in Sweden and Japan and Australia, I mean, so I didn't realize that you had to jump through so many hoops, because I hear so many people talking about, they sold a car to someone overseas. I know a guy in California, he builds them and he sells them to guys overseas all the time. He just got his little side hustle going. He'll build them and boom, they're gone. They could be going anywhere. It's crazy. I did not know it was that much.
We have a friend as well. He's got a garage and he restores the classic Volkswagens, and he spends a lot of time on the west coast of America, and he imports over the camper vans, whether it's a barn find or one in pristine condition. He ships them back over here, spends time restoring the whole thing, and then selling them for a higher price. Obviously he's making his money back and keeping them on the road, which is great. Because over in England, you can't really get them that nice without rust. So obviously going to California is a great thing, and we can get them on the road in England.
That's right. But then again, yes, it does depend as well. If you import to the UK, legalities are far easier as if you wanted to import anything into Germany. Germany, everything has to be, they call it MOT. It's the same as your emissions taxes. Everything has to be TÜV approved. Everything has to be this, that. So it is road legal. So if the vehicle doesn't make any of the TÜV approvals, you can basically forget it.
Wow, that's wild. I had that's wild.
not to switch gears, but I'm switching gears.
Switch gears.
I saw online I think it was a photo, maybe on the landing page of your webpage with Jay Leno. You guys look like you toured through Leno's garage. How'd you manage that, and when was it, and what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, 2020. Yeah, 2017.
2017, yeah.
To backtrack to 2014, we lived in England for quite some time, Carmen and I, and then we decided to go all out with Superfly.
Yeah.
And in the mid of 2014, we decided, we're going to sell everything. We're going to quit the UK corporate life, and we're going to literally travel and try and meet as many people around the world as possible, because we could only do it on weekends. We used to do photography for magazines. So we risked it all by selling everything, and we've been living out a suitcase for 6 years to travel around the world. And we
literally up to January before COVID hit.
That's right. We wanted to do something quite crazy. We thought, we're going to give it a go. And,
cool.
life's too short just to stay in a career or a life that you don't really want. So we did this, and he was one of our bucket lists. Could we ever get to go there? How can we do this? I mean, you're on the West Coast, a lot of people, we have some good friends out there, and they would say, hey, you can crash at our house. It's all cool. You hang out, we're all car people. We'll hang out together. And Instagram is probably one of the most amazing tools we've had for a long time when it comes to searching out for cars and owners. Forums were before that kind of stuff. And we were in the West Coast. We'd heard of like the supercar Sundays you have on a Sunday in LA where, we'll turn up, and he goes there. So we're like, okay, that's cool. And we went there. We didn't really see him. But then on Instagram, we came across his creative director at the time. And his Instagram handle was like Sharks versus Polar Bear. Really cool guy. Walker Dalton, his name is. He's
amazing.
And we said, hey, we come from the UK. We're out here. We'd love to hang out, do an interview on you, because obviously he was a cool guy. And we said at the same time, it'd be nice if we could maybe hook up to do something with Jay. And he came back on Instagram like, oh, wow, he's actually come back. And, 2 days later, we had coffee in LA. And we had a conversation. And he just liked what we did at Superfly, and we liked what he did. And then we didn't come back for a year. And then we came back to the Supercar Sunday, and he comes running up to us and goes, I've got it, guys. And we're like, what are you talking about? I got you the gig with Jay Leno. And we're like, oh.
We were not asking for it or anything. He just ran off on his own and came back.
And we were like, oh, my God, really? He says, yeah, we should know about you guys, loves what you guys do. And, yeah, you can come down to the shop and, have the whole interview. But as how interviews go, you're thinking, how the hell are we going to do this? Because, someone like that, we've never really met that kind of person before. We're like,
it was daunting.
How are we going to do this? But it took then a while, at least go 3 months, to actually get through to his other person, which was like the hire director, to get it organized. And it was a back and forth thing for quite some time. And literally a day prior to us actually flying out of the country to do this job for somebody, because we were doing marketing for a company.
Yeah, out in the Dominican.
Exactly the same time as Superfly. They said, oh, it's this day at that time, and that's the only time we can do. And we had to fly, like 4 hours later?
Yeah, that we had basically 3 hours. And within the 4th hour, we had to get to the airport, checked in, and ready to fly.
So we're like, oh, I mean, this is the guy you got to really, do this right.
So all our camera gear, everything was actually already packed up, ready for flight. So we were digging frantically through the stuff what we still could pull out, just ahead of the time, but easy to repack right thereafter.
And then, we went down to his place, and super humble guy. You'd never thought, someone who obviously has done quite well in life in that respect.
Yeah.
But he was so cool. We invited us in. We sat down did a Facebook Live interview with him and recorded it too.
That's it.
And then he said, oh, you guys can just stick around if you like. And we thought, oh, we only have about an hour. But he allowed us to stay in the whole place, and we literally captured pictures and video as much of his cars as possible. And it was like walking into a museum.
It is.
It's an incredible place, and a really nice guy. So we were in awe, because we'd never done prior to him as any kind of real celebrities for Superfly. Because for us, it's about not just the people who do as high as Jay Leno, but also the grafter who's working a tough job, and he's in his garage every night building a car that may only be $5,000, but when it comes out, it looks amazing. And to have a contract that showed those guys and girls, and someone like Jay Leno is quite nice, because people looked up to him, inspired him. So we were trying to think, who else can we get? And obviously Jay Leno was our first, and then a few others came too.
Yeah, the funny part with Jay was, you get so nervous when you're interviewing a celebrity, but he could not have made us more at ease. He's like, the years of his experience literally shone through there. That was amazing. And the funny part also was that we noticed very quickly, about half of the cars he never paid for.
Oh yeah, there's some giveaway
It's like,
him and
exactly, so many people just approach him to say, hey, I have this collection of my now deceased husband. I don't want them anymore. Can I give them to you? Then I at least know it is with somebody exactly who loves him just as much as my husband. And like that, he just got 40 bicycles. It's like,
the motorcycle.
Sorry, motorcycles,
Yes.
not yeah. So it's just incredible how he gets by some of these vehicles in general, and but for that reason he doesn't really class himself a collector either, or he sees himself as a historian. So
Right.
he's literally just adding to a museum that's available to anybody he can let in. For insurance purposes, that's not many at a time, but you know, he's more than easygoing on people to say, just go, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you there during working hours, or was it after? It sounds like it was later in the day.
No, it was
in the morning, weren't we?
morning-ish,
Maybe around 10
like
a.m.
10, something like that. Yeah.
There was a few people walking in and out. That there was like some journalists there as well, and we came in at a certain time. So I think it was rolling through the day.
Yeah.
With the next kind of journalist to come on in media to do something with him. But then I think we left mid-afternoon to get our flight after. But
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
I went through twice. Lou's never been, but Lou
I've
doesn't
never-
travel
yeah,
to California all that time. But when I went through, it was one of the Leno was still on TV. I forget what year he went off, but he had an older guy in his shop, and I can't remember his name. Bernard was one of the head mechanics who I believe retired recently. But the older guy, he was probably 80, and he knew everything about every car. I mean, it's like 3 buildings worth of automobiles. You guys probably toured through the whole thing. I mean, it's spotless. They got, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like you're saying, it's a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
But that old dude, you could not trip him. I mean,
No.
he knew every nut and bolt story. I mean, he knew everything about it, like a walking, talking encyclopedia. But it was pretty cool to walk through that. But
So
it's been a little while.
I do have my story on how I almost met Jay Leno. I was in Ben Pack's booth, right? And they had some security guys. They came through and they went in towards like the middle of where Ben Pack was. It was where Ford had their stuff, and they had and all the vendors were around outside. So when he walked by me, at first I didn't see him because he was behind me. He walked by and was like, "Oh, it's Jay Leno." So then on the way back, they came right through the same path. And I saw him coming, so I got over to the edge of the booth, and I'm standing there waiting, and he sees me. We make eye contact. I put my hand there, go, "Mr. Leno," and these 2 security, "Mr. Leno, we gotta go." And they herded him off like he was the president. I'm like, damn it, man!
Wow.
He got Lou. That's all I got. Damn, I didn't get Jay Leno.
Ken's hit me up, says they have calls. They have people that are on the line. You want to take a call, Lou?
Yeah, let's take a call. What do we got? Who is this? What do we got here? He said it's going to take a minute. We're waiting patiently for the call.
There we go.
Hey, John, we don't have any callers.
You don't have any callers?
Oh.
What'd you do? You booted them off? You sent me a text, Ken, that said you had them.
It's okay. It's okay.
You want to take them now? You want to open up the line? Is that what you're saying?
Open up the line if it's open. Open it up.
The line. What is the number? It's at the bottom. 215-469-1892. Give a buzz. He sent me a text that he had
calls, guys. This is our first time. We haven't
he texted me. Ken texted me about 5 minutes ago, so maybe we lost him.
So we don't know what's going to happen here. It's
no, this is the first. We just hooked it up today. Yeah, so he's opening up the line. I don't know how we're going to. He didn't put a message up on the top right corner. But let's go to Dennis McCarthy, because we got Dennis on in 2 weeks. Richard Rawlings is next week. Dennis McCarthy from Fast and Furious is next week.
Yeah.
So tell us, you did a story. I saw a video where you did an interview. It was probably 8 minutes or so with Dennis talking about the overview. How'd that come about? What'd you think?
So he's a really cool guy, actually. And for us, when we left in 2014 to start traveling around the world to different cultures, the West Coast was one of the prime areas we wanted to go to, because a lot of our followers, believe it or not, even though we're based in the UK, are based in America. So our number one audience is the US, and the West Coast being the prominent audience. So we had like the wish list, the bucket list, like Jay Leno, and Dennis McCarthy is one of those guys, because obviously the movie cars, you know, we love movie cars, Fast and Furious being, you know, one of the biggest things in the industry. And so what happened is we teamed up with a friend of ours at the time who was a very talented videographer, sorry. And we had a hit list of different people to do movies with, short clips like you've just described. So we went over for a week. He joined us in LA for a week. And the essence was to give, you know, a cinematic feel to a story to people like Dennis McCarthy, a behind the scenes, but more cinematic feel. And so we went down to his shop based in Burbank, and he gave us the behind the scenes of what they do to obviously build the movie cars for Fast and Furious, really bring his story out and how he obviously evolved into that franchise. And we were there at the time. I think it was prior to, they were making the Fast and Furious 8. I think they were.
Was it 8 already?
Was it 7?
I thought it was 5.
I can't remember now.
But it was the one.
It's 9 now. 9 comes out. Yeah,
2000. I'm not.
Which one was the one with the ice charger?
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
We were filming his story, but they were really making all the cast of the movie with the ice charger, and we were
half of the things we weren't actually allowed to film.
It was so hard to not film, to try and secretly capture something. We just couldn't do that, and it was nice for him to give us the tour, because you got a sense of feeling of how they make cars in the movies, because we hadn't done that before. And so he gave us the rope behind it, and it was just really nice to go from see what the movie's about, but really going to the back of the scenes, to the, you know, the cars are the stars at the end of the day for us. And it was such a really good experience to be there for a good
Adam Perry, thank you. Fast 7.
There you go.
That's always fun.
I know we're
6, 7. Somebody else says it's 8. Do I hear a 9? Do I hear a 9? 9's coming out on the 25th. That's why we're having Dennis on. Is there anything that we should ask him? You give us a tip to make for a good interview. Things that you maybe forgot, or things that we definitely are worth telling on the show.
Worth telling is definitely how he got into it, because it's such a like almost pass over, you know, pass from one hand to the next to that. Like it was such a, he just slipped in.
Yeah.
And it's so impressive how that came to be. So definitely ask him for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think things like this, I think, as an inspirational piece, it's important, because I think some people, like you asking us, how the hell do you meet Jay Leno? And a lot of people say, how the hell do you do that? I think sometimes it's about having that thought in your mind of what you want to have, and not expecting exactly how it's going to come to you, and just keeping an open mind, but still working on your path to whatever you want to achieve. Yeah. And then it just happens without restricting and saying it'll never happen. And that stops you from getting somewhere. So people like meeting him, Jay Leno, was because of our mindset of going, we will manage to make that happen. Because to get to Dennis, we had to go through Universal Studios. We would not allow anything unless we could prove to Universal that we were media credible enough to have the interview. So we went through Universal, and obviously we built a big audience at the time. And after looking at what we did, they'd noticed we'd done stuff with Fast and Furious before, and they were like, that's cool, we've given you full access. And then we could have access to Dennis McCarthy.
Wow.
So it happened to us in that sense, because we weren't in the US. It probably would have been easier had we been at the SEMA show, you know, bump into him, because you do sometimes. And that's how we normally do. And that's how some of our people who met on the West Coast, we managed to interview because of being there. And obviously being English, you got the British accent. I was like, oh my God, you're not from England, are you? Yeah, we'll do something with you guys. Like, wow, they're so friendly in the US. It's because obviously, well, I'm just kidding. It's just how it comes across. And
it is funny.
I think it's important for people to know, whoever's listening, that no matter what it is in life you're trying to strive for, if you want to make it happen, you can. You just have to not allow yourself to go, well, I haven't got enough money, or I'm not in that country yet, or how am I supposed to do this? If you are super passionate about it enough, it will happen, even if it's a year from now. Like, say, Jay Leno, it was a year later that we managed. Dennis McCarthy, it took us a year to get in contact with Universal, to get
through to Universal. It was really no easy feat, because they are not coming back to just everybody anyway. I asked specifically after that what made them give us the go-ahead, because I know for a fact there were loads of people at the time who had way more followers than we had, and had a bigger audience, as it were. And Universal actually was so kind to come back and said, it's not the audience size we are looking at, it's how many people you are engaging. And that was such an eye-opener for both of us, because you basically, what they said to us, you could have had 15 million followers at the time, but if you can't engage your audience, you're basically not worth it in their eyes. And at the time, and that's something Facebook stats obviously shows you very easily, what we were like not even half of what Top Gear had, but our audience was way more engaged than Top Gear's.
Got you.
When you guys were in Burbank, did you get a chance to go through West Coast Customs at the time or no? Is that on your list?
Yeah, we did West Coast Customs. We organized.
Were you disappointed? Were you disappointed?
I will say yes. I mean, this will be honest now. It's not to be horrible for anybody. No, be honest. I mean, we went there because, you know, it's like those prime things you've never done as a car person. Right. You want to do different shops. You've seen them on, you know, West Coast customers on TV empty and things like that. I think that what disappointed us is that, you know, we turned up, it was all prearranged with their PR people. And at the time, Ryan was very busy with the client, which is understandable. But there's not much of an attentiveness to us being there. And it's not that we're the people like, oh, you got to lay out the red carpet. I think in life, no matter who you are, if you have somebody who's come from anywhere, doesn't matter who, if it's around the world, around the corner, spend at least 2 minutes just to acknowledge them properly. Instead, it was walk, oh, how's it going, bye, and then gone. And we're like, we've come all the way from the UK, and he hasn't even. And I get he's got a client, but 2 minutes of your time would have at least showed us a little bit more. And that was the one thing that I think really for us was like, oh, it's a bit of a shame. We didn't expect that.
What was going on? What was going on in the shop at the time?
Well, I think it's an important client. I think a rap star was there to pick up a delivery, and he was walking past something like some donuts or something to eat. I guess we were going to go to a meeting, and it was just a quick thing. It was just there was just not that acknowledgement that we were here that well. It was just
What were they building? That place is like 50 or 60,000 square feet. Were they working on anything out in the center there? Do you remember if they were?
We went to the back. We went to the showroom. And then went to the back end to have a look. And at the time, gosh, I mean, this was 2018.
Was it 2018? I thought it was 17.
Was it? It was around that time. And I think at the time, we didn't have many vehicles we saw that were being worked on. Some had just been completed. I think it was like golf carts. And then there was probably a couple of American classics modified. But other than that, there was nothing.
And nothing noteworthy.
More of the fact like maybe a rap star came in and he's had like a G-Wagon with a set of rims and maybe an interior. That's probably much as we saw, and that was about it really.
Now I'm gonna tell you something. When I started doing Ultimate Car Build Off, you know, speaking of engaging with the people, I went to Chip Foose's shop because you know he was the judge for the show. So we went to the shop. I met him there. And it had to be about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're in there. He's working. I'm just helping him out with doing stuff. And these two couples showed up. One couple was like from Austria. The other one was from England. I mean, like they were not from the neighborhood. And what they did was they were slated to get on the tour the next morning, and they got into town and they wanted to know exactly where they needed to go so they wouldn't be late. So Chip's got the garage door open and we're working. Also, we see these 4 people standing. Now, these people didn't know each other. It just was a chance thing. So Chip opens up the gate and we were with them till like 4 o'clock in the morning. Just talking. Chip showing them everything. Here's what we're doing. This is what's going on. Here's a T-shirt. You know what I mean? Like they got the grand tour and didn't even expect it. And you know, I thought that was really cool. Because you know, I mean, I talk to everybody, but you know, Chip he rolled out the red carpet for those people, man. Like he just rolled it out, and whatever you want to talk about, I'm here to talk to you about it. And it was just a chance meeting, man. I bet you know people still talk about that. Yeah.
I can't.
Now I can't even get a hold of him to get him on here.
Gotta go outside the gate.
He's got a gatekeeper now that, you know, It doesn't matter, you know. It doesn't matter who I am. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
We tried the same too. When we went to his shop, we met him, and then he said, "You got to speak to Discovery at the time," and that was 2017. And then when we spoke to Discovery, they just weren't allowing us to do anything because we were trying to do imagery plus also filming interviews, and because of that, they just couldn't do anything with us. We're like, "Oh, that's a shame." So because the relationship they had, that's it's fair enough, but that's how it is sometimes when you do something like this.
It's a control thing, man. That's what it is. Control.
Yeah, you guys play by the rules. Lou and I don't play by the rules. We didn't reach out to Universal. I texted Dennis. I texted Dennis and harassed him and said, "Come on the show."
Hey,
finally, he gave up.
We gotta wait till he's on. They might put a brush on. No, don't go crazy. Wait a minute.
For some, we definitely have no other choice but to play by the rules because of distance. But some as well, we just got on onto our channel, just like you as well. Just reach out, and that's that. Sometimes you will be surprised. Those people still man their own Instagram channels as well. So
right.
Timing as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's all in the timing. You know that. You know that.
Yeah, we reach out to so many people. We're not fearful of reaching out to those different individuals who, maybe have a gatekeeper, like you're saying, because if you don't, you'll never get there. So you have to, and that's why when we go to America every single year since 2014, we would spend at least a couple of months on the West Coast. We'd make sure we the coffee meets to hang out, see if they're there, and then hopefully we can bump into them, say who we are, and see what happens. That's when we got the likes of Be Real from Cypress Hill. We got Magnus Walker and people like this, just by being there and just having the balls to go and talk to them. And they're pretty like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we could do something. That's all good. And I remember last time we harassed Jeff Dunham at the Supercar Sunday where I was doing a Facebook Live, and I was like, oh my God, he's there. And so I was just sort of hovering behind him with my phone, trying to pretend I wasn't really filming. And he clocked me, and he was like, I know I'm being filmed. But he was actually quite placid and just rolled with it, even though I was like this freak, all white guy from England, this like harassing with his cell phone. It's Jeff Dunham. We saw him in England live. He's really funny, and we can't miss this chance. And after we got a picture with him and everything like that. And sometimes you just have to have the balls to do it and try not to sort of disrespect him, because we thought, he doesn't want to be harassed. This guy gets people all over all the time. But we try to be as cool as possible, but it maybe wasn't as cool as I thought it was. But it works, it worked. So it was all good.
Whatever works at the time.
Yeah.
What do you guys have coming up? What's around the corner? It's summertime here. I guess the season's the same there. What's it like in England right now? Summer?
I mean, right now we're actually having sunshine, which is
very rare. We usually say 2 weeks in 2 weeks of summer a year, and then we are back to winter or rain.
Shows are starting to come back on slowly. We're still in lockdown, so to speak, right now.
Well, there's one last stage to the lockdown, but they're kind of umming and ahhing if they are actually needing to extend the lockdown date. So
we don't know. So we're not sure whether events will be cancelled again. So we're like, hopefully this is not going to happen, because a lot of people are tired of this. As much as you guys and everyone else in the world, this last year has been crazy. But for us, what's been on the horizon since the whole lockdown, we haven't stopped. We can't travel as much, so we started doing what we call our coffee talk lives on Instagram, where we literally, we're going to bring you guys on at some point. We bring in conversation for people in the garage, guys like you, to talk about your story, what you're up to, show us a build you're in, and we've been doing that in the last sort of 8 months. But whilst we were doing this, also we've expanded our brand SUPERFLY into other avenues. So we've now started another brand called Diecast Heroes, which is all about, and this is the magazine, it's a collector's journal, all based on
that is cool.
It's all based around the world of custom Hot Wheels. So for 7 years, we've been into the world of custom Hot Wheels. So imagine the life-size vehicles you see on the road, but people getting the 1/64 Hot Wheel diecast and customizing them to look exactly the same. And we saw these guys. We saw these guys 7 years ago. And we're like, my God, they've got a workbench like a garage on their kitchen top, doing exactly what we do, but to the level of detail where they're even making radio controls. And we were blown away. So we've been documenting for the last 7 years, and then we thought.
So it looks a little bit like this. I don't know if that picks it up, but quite literally.
Yeah. I got you.
Was to do something more with these guys, and we come from a magazine background. We've worked for magazines in the past prior to photography, And we decided to bring this brand to the forefront where it's a magazine dedicated to the customizers.
Yeah.
So it's all about the artistry of what they do in customizing their Hot Wheels. And every issue is themed. So issue 1 we had there is 80s and 90s special. So the front cover
looks like a cereal box.
A cereal box from the 90s. So you got a bowl with obviously what's supposed to be cereals, but the Hot Wheels. You got the mascot in the middle that you would do, and obviously.
I like that. I didn't notice, but yeah, that's
the whole
pretty cool.
design is based around this, and the next one coming out in a few weeks is Cyberpunk. And so we're trying to build every 3 months a journal collectible where everyone customizes a Hot Wheels based on the theme that we have. So that's been our big project in the last few months, which we're continuing on. And we have another 3 other publications coming out. So we're expanding the universe of Superfly in collectible journals and also digital magazines. So Superfly has its own journal, but we're going to start rolling this out every 3 months. And then we have another brand called Chapter 2050, which is the future vehicles. So the artificial intelligence, the electrics, and the people who are designers behind that who create the concepts, we're going to start bringing out, a journal based on those guys too.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing because we can't travel much anymore. And we didn't want to sit down and just not bring anything to our audience. So we thought, well, we've got content we've shot over the last 15 years of cars, which we can reuse. And people haven't seen everything we've shot. People love to see cars 25 years ago, like the movie cars you were showing at the beginning. People still love those to this day. And if you can bring together a mix of cars that are just quite unique, people will want to consume something fresh and unique every single month.
So how can someone get a copy of Diecast Heroes?
So you can go to our website, which is superfly-autos.com, and we have a tab that says magazines at the top. When you click on the tab, it'll take you to all the Superfly and Diecast Heroes publications. And obviously on our Instagram profile and Facebook, you can access them from there as well in the links that we have.
Can they get can they get a digital copy if they wanted, or
Yes, that is. So Diecast Heroes has just gone digital, I think, literally about a week ago.
Yeah.
Superfly, we're going to start launching from the beginning of the next month digitally as well. We're making sure it's that way because someone to have it tangible. People of our age love to have the magazine. We grew up in the magazine age, and we like to have that.
Right.
But with the COVID scenario, we've had issues with people having shipments. So we thought, if we make it digital as well, then people can at least access digital.
That's very cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. That's cool. I mean, I had Hot Wheels when I was a kid, so I mean, I gotta check it out. Custom Hot Wheels. I would never thought of that.
You will be blown away. I mean,
definitely.
The next issue we've got now, it was all cyberpunk. So steampunk, diesel punk, solar punk, all the genres of cyberpunk that we love. And we put out a challenge, build a car. And some of the stuff we come out with, it's incredible. 3 different Hot Wheels mixed into one Hot Wheel to make one unique Hot Wheel that looks like a locomotive steam engine that can fly and has a little motorcycle coming out the back of it. And we're like,
so cool.
There are hyper talented people in that genre. It's amazing.
Japanese, Indonesians, US, England, all over the world.
Brazil, Mexico. Yeah, you
and when
name
you
it.
see them, people are now looking at those and going, I could build that as a real life car now, because it's now the opposite.
Yeah.
They were inspired by us guys building. Now it's
right.
You guys doing this now. And it's shifting the game up. And even Hot Wheels have recognized that they're upping their game now because the customizers are going and giving them ideas to do stuff on their side. Now it's evolving hugely. And this magazine is not just us on our own. This is something we're building with the community. And we've got the likes of Larry Wood, who's involved every single month with us, who obviously is the king of customs. Mike Zarnock, who's the biggest collector, as well as Bruce Pascal, who are huge collectors of the Hot Wheels, the biggest in the world. And we reached out to them and we said, hey, we're building this community brand. Want you guys involved? There's nothing like this on the market. We want to serve the market that we've been nurturing for the last 7 years, give them something special they can have. And it's the beginning, because it's not going to be just a magazine. This is what we know we've done from this industry. We know how to make one. And then it's just going to grow. And through this, already we've got the guys in the community saying, you're innovating us now. You're challenging us now to up our game in customizing. Because the themes you're coming out with, we've not necessarily done that before. So cyberpunk and solar punk, for example, is like the futuristic cyberpunk, but with less dystopia. They're like, I didn't even know that existed. What is that? Well, it's all plant-based. It's ecological. It's about pro-life and high technology, not the dystopia of low life and high tech. And they're now challenging their mindset to think out of the box and look to a future that's less doom and gloom. and thinking how they can now innovate their builds to inspire others to do the same. And we think that's pretty cool. So as we're building this, we start to do things like that.
It's very unique as well in the way that there's no other magazine out there that caters towards the modifier, the builder.
Not these guys,
no other magazines out there. That it's just the diecast, like as it comes out of the factory line. That's it, which is fine as well. It's really needed too, because there's amazing stuff out there, half of it you would never know, but nobody looks at the customizers. So this is the only magazine that does that now.
And we want to, because we do it in real life, and because they inspired us 7 years ago by doing what they do in small scale. We're like, well, we just can replicate like Superfly does, but in 164. We'll just take it up a notch by theming every issue. Makes it fun every single time. It become boring.
You know, it's funny because there's I follow these guys on Instagram, and you've probably shot them. I think it's 244 Motors. I think they're out of Japan, and they have crazy vans. Like I could see those as Hot Wheel cars. I could see it. They're insane.
Those guys are incredible. That's a story and a half in itself.
So that's it. That's the van. They're nuts, John. It's so crazy.
Japanese culture to us is so eclectic, and it's incredible. Some people sometimes look at those vans and think, oh, it's Ricer. And I'm like, it's not Ricer. You've got to understand this is a cultural thing. It's manga is kind of the backing behind it. It's Bozozuku mixed together, and they create the most wacky custom vans ever, because in Japan as well, their homes are so small that the teenagers can't really spend time with their girlfriends at home. So what they do is they get these vans, completely kit them out on the exterior to look wacky, and inside it's like a camper van almost. You've got a place to chill out, a lounge, a bed. So for them, it's their time out with their missus, you know. So they go out and have fun and build these wacky vans. And for us, as part of our travels, we always wanted to do more in Japan, because the first time I did things in Japan prior to going freelance, as Carmen and I have been,
was 2004.
About 2004. I worked for a magazine for 3 years called Fast Car in the UK. It's still around today. And they could never get into Japan in terms of the Veilside company, who do all the Fast and Furious cars back as Tokyo Drift. And they said, well, they don't speak English. And I was like, well, do you know what? It doesn't harm just to send an email in English. And lo and behold, after they came back in English to me, and I was like, see, it worked.
Oh, they're going to figure it out. They're not stupid.
And we managed to negotiate to do some shoots out there. So I went to Japan back then to do Veilside. We did the RX-7 for Tokyo Drift. It was a great experience. And I said to Carmen, one day we have to go together and do something more with them. And before the whole pandemic hit, I think 2018, we went there in December. We spent 6 weeks. We found a really cheap way to live there. Accommodation was inexpensive. And we hung out with so many different people. And one of the people we wanted to do was these guys. But we didn't know how to reach them. And
they literally do not speak English either.
Not at all. So thank God for Instagram, because it was like, okay, Google Translate. Find a picture on Instagram, hashtag.
That was
they
what
look
it
cool.
was, yeah.
Translate. Hopefully it doesn't insult them in any way, because I don't know what it message through. And he came back in, obviously, in translation with half broken up round stuff. It's like, yes, that's cool. We're actually doing a whole meet, which was the...
It was January
3rd.
Yeah, 3rd meet.
They do a car park meet. I can't remember the car park. It's very famous in Japan. Daihatsu Park, I think. And literally after Christmas, every car club in the whole of Tokyo congregate to this park. So you got all the Bozozuku guys, you got the lowriders, you got the supercars, you got the hot rodders, and they just all go and meet and cruise the highways and end up in this car park. So we were back and forth on Instagram with this guy, and he's like, I tell you what, we'll come and pick up your hotel, because we didn't have a car. Nothing like that. You don't bother in Tokyo. And they rolled up at our hotel, 6 of these vans. You hear the neon lights flashing everywhere, like in the Fast and Furious car.
We had the whole hotel staff right in front of the hotel.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then these Europeans come out the hotel like, okay, what is this stuff? Is this UFO stuff? What the hell is going on here?
It was crazy.
And we didn't speak English, so we're translating back and forth on Google Translate to conversate where we were
just
going.
Showing the messages on the phone, basically.
And the whole day, we did not speak a word. We hung out with these guys, 15 vans. We, each one of us go in each different van to hang out the window and film.
Oh, they were laughing at us, hanging out. They enjoyed themselves just watching us.
They'd never seen people like this do that. They hang out, they were all laughing at us and giggling like schoolgirls. It was hilarious. And these guys are our age, 40 plus.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were hanging out with their kids. and they went to this bridge where there was all arcade machines, where you had the the grab machines to get cuddly toys, and they spent a few hours just playing arcade games, and they were our age, and they were just getting their toys for their kids, and
Incredible.
it was just pure fun. We couldn't speak English, but for the whole day we hung out with these guys, and it was the most incredible experience in Japan we've ever had, because we knew people, but that was like the pinnacle of their car culture. To be
pretty cool.
All day, not speaking a word of Japanese or English, but the shots and the filming we got, and we're still friends to this day. The guys are so humble. Until to this day, we're still friends. They say, we can't wait for you guys to come back out.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty cool.
You guys would love it. You should go and do that. And if you do, we'll hook you up with these guys, because you have to do it.
You guys seem like you guys are great people, and it's great that we got to connect. If there's anything that we could do over here, if you need, something, especially with COVID going on and all the craziness and lockdowns and all that's happening. I'm on the East Coast. I'm outside of Philadelphia. Lou's in North Carolina, but we travel. I'll be in Vegas in a couple of days. We're all over the place most times, especially coming up. But I also, a couple things before we roll, because we're 16, hour 17 in. Yeah. But where maybe explain where people can find you again, and then we'll wrap up and roll out. No, Lou?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's appreciated, guys. So thank you. It's the same for us in the UK. If there's anybody you find you want to hook up
or
with,
in
we'll
Europe.
make that happen.
I mean, Tony speaks French, I speak German.
Yeah, so not a problem there. But if anyone wants to find us, obviously, if you go to Instagram, we're Superfly_autos. Facebook, Superfly Autos, easily as well. The website, as you put up on the screen, Superfly-autos.com. You guys can find us there. Also on YouTube. And everything is accessible from there for us. So yeah, you can find us, at most weekends we do coffee call lives, where we do live calls on Instagram to anybody around the world with something special, whatever it is, a car, a bike, a garage. That's basically it for now. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
You ever come to North Carolina, you can crash here, man. I'm right above Chicago.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you guys come to Europe, man, when you do, we'll hook you up.
Because we got a pretty cool car culture here. There's a bunch of cruisings going on during the summer and all that. The car culture here is bigger than most people think.
Awesome.
And we got so it's pretty good. I got no complaints.
We haven't done a lot of the West. We've done some of the East Coast and West, but we haven't done enough, and we want to come back.
We had the East and the West, and we need to somehow bridge the middle.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, well, we got to wrap this up, because we're almost at an hour and a half. We're getting closing in on it, so so we got to make this happen.
Well, there they go.
I guess I'm sorry to kick you off, guys. I really am. I wasn't expecting that. All right, so next week we got Richard Rollins, and I want to thank Superfly, Tony and Carmen. That's just so cool. I was not expecting it to be that much fun. I really wasn't. And so next week we got Richard Rollins, and then after that we got Mike McCarthy. So we're you guys just tune in. Don't forget Dennis. I said that. Yeah. And don't forget, we've got the number 215-469-1892. Tonight was our first night doing it, so I don't know if anyone called or whatever, but we got a number now. So that number is going to be active when the show is live. So you're not going to be able to call it when this show goes, when this show or any of our other shows just go on to YouTube or Spotify or whatever, because we're working on getting it on all the platforms. Just remember that. When the show is live, you can call in 215-469-1892.
There is a voicemail. There is a voicemail. They can leave a question or a comment. Yeah, there is a voicemail.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And it comes through through email, because it's a Google Mail. So it's all connected. It's good.
Oh, so we're good then. Okay. Yeah. So we're good. So all right. So I'm Lou Santiago. You guys have a great time. John, say good night.
Later.
Down.
Thanks, Lou.